I had my first head injury when I was 35 years old. It was one of those times, and I'm sure you've all had them, where you feel like you kind of got the world by the tail and things are going really, really well. I was a mom, and I had 3 kids, and I had a career I loved, and I was in my 7th year of law school. And my family and I went to a restaurant for lunch one day, and a 16-year-old backed up the wrong way against the arrows and backed over me. As a result of that injury, my family and I's life changed, and it'll be 25 years ago, July 2nd of this year. 2 years after that, I wasn't warned that I was having seizures in the hospital, but I was. 2 years later, I started having them at work, and it was my supervisor that noticed that. It is a disbandment from any kind of law enforcement if you have epilepsy. I had a supervisor willing to cover for me, but I wasn't willing to take that risk. So I did lose my job, but of course, I just knew there would be a medicine that could help me. I tried 19 different anti-epileptic drugs over 21 years, and none of them helped me. I have lost my teeth, my gallbladder, and my large intestine, my entire colon to the side effects of medicine. And not one doctor ever mentioned taking me off medicine. I never appropriately responded to any, and I always had to be given megadoses. We will probably never know why. And 4 years ago, I had waited years for an appointment at a headache clinic in Chicago, where you gotta really have bad headaches to finally go there. And I was told that my health was too feeble, and they didn't take my insurance, and I'd have to be admitted, and I was 5 hours from home, and I got that same feel of, you know what, I'm really tired of being Mikey. I don't want to do this again. By this point, I had been evaluated by UCLA twice for brain seizure surgery. I have 4 foci points. I was not an appropriate seizure candidate. I was turned down both times. I've also been evaluated twice for the vagal nerve stimulator. I would have gladly let them put a pacemaker in my heart and sever my vagal nerve and send electricity to my brain every 5 minutes if it would have reduced the seizures. But I had thousands of seizures a month. I lost the last 20 years of memory to non-stop seizures. And I knew that my family nor I would notice a 30% decrease. So that was not an option. Now, I'd been told when I had a second injury in '96. Second injuries are not unusual with brain injury survivors. Our balance is impaired, we fall. I've learned to walk and talk 3 times, so you know, we aren't as good at it the more we get at it, and so falls were definitely a part of it. Grand mal seizures before I was told to wear a helmet. 4 years ago, amazingly, I started this cannabis journey with being the daughter of 2 law enforcement parents and myself being medically retired law enforcement, going against everybody I knew and loved. I had to walk away and do what was best for Debbie. And I wasn't sure, but I've been told for 18 years no doctor knew, and I was untreatable, and that just was not satisfactory. I knew that meant more research needed to be done. I'd had the advantage of learning how to research in law school, and I got a hold of some really key people that happened to be in this room that really held up really bright lights and showed me how to find my way through the maze of patient health. And I stand here before you today to say that my first year, 4 years ago, my grand mal seizures reduced 1,000%. I went from 4 weeks to 4 a year my first year. Finding the balance with 5 different seizure types was a little more difficult for me than it's going to be for hopefully many seizure patients. I do also need CBD, and my life-threatening seizures had already stopped my lungs twice and my heart once 2 years ago. We ran out of time in Illinois, so my family and I did have to move here to Oregon. I actually left AMA from a hospital to get on the airplane and get here. They could no longer keep me breathing. And I've now been here going on 2 years. I found CBD 7 months ago, and I've been seizure-free now, totally seizure-free, with breakthrough seizures only twice for 7 months. And I think probably the biggest news I have, I was contacted by somebody. It has been loving, kind people that have made this happen for me. But a consultant got in touch with me and said, I believe I can help you. Well, you know what? Nobody said those words to me in a long time, so I sure wanted to hear what she had to say. And she has. I give Tish Silver from Cannabis in California total credit for me standing here. But the deal I made was I would do the tests if she would keep me alive. So I went and met her, and I was in bad shape dementia-wise. I have CTE, like you've read with the NFL players. You have enough head hits and they add up, and I'd gotten to the point I couldn't make my own cup of coffee. I couldn't remember what I put in it, not any time of day. I could no longer walk without a gimp. I was slurring my speech, and I was going fast. I, 7 months ago, went on a neuroenhancer, which is basically raw cannabis. And today, I can make my cup of coffee every time. I can talk and make sense most of the time. And my dementias, I have 2 tests to share. 3 months ago, I had both a neuropsychological and an EEG. The neuropsychological measures how my brain is doing compared to other brains and how my brain's doing compared to how it's done since it's been injured. I had the best neuropsychological I'd had in 18 years since my severe brain injury, my second injury, and I had a normal EEG for the first time in 23 years. At this point, I take 1 pill a day from 40 a day, not counting my cannabis. I have been able to retire my seizure helmet. I'm out of diapers. I'm controlling my diabetes, my post-concussion headaches, my post-concussion syndrome, my anxiety, my depression, my PTSD, and 5 types of seizures. And I want to say this, I don't know how many people we have in the room, but I've met several that have been touched by brain injury or stroke, and I know that I have a real special neurologist in the room as well. The loss of self is a very, very difficult loss. I was 35 and had experienced the loss of a parent, a spouse, and a baby. I understood loss well. The loss of self, imagine the person you've been and coming to terms with that. But I can say this, and brain injury survivors are my heart, they are my passion. I can honestly say neurology patients deserve cannabis because in 25 years they never gave me anything that gave me this overall feeling of peace and well-being that I have today. And that I totally contribute to medical cannabis. And I want to thank my son. He's kept me out of a nursing home this last several years. So I can be here.